Today I'm going to be answering your questions on social anxiety. Hi, I'm Paige Pradko. Welcome to Therapy for a Better Life. Before we get going on today's questions, I just want to thank you for leaving such wonderful questions on my videos and on my channel. I really think the questions help everyone. I know they help me to understand what you'd like to learn more about, what you'd like a video on, and I really appreciate the interaction. So please feel free to leave a comment or question, and you never know when your question might help others and be featured on a video like this. So we're going to start off with a question from Just Relaxable Gaming. I'm here because I have this social anxiety. When I'm outside, it makes me sweat. And I don't like the situation of mine because I always think that I am looking awkward, and these kind of thoughts make me even more stressed. So I chose Just Relaxable Gaming's question and comment really because so many of us can relate to this. Most people with social anxiety at some point develop this issue of sweating. And the reason why is because we are so anxious. We're so anxious in this situation, and the more and more we try to not be anxious and we try to not sweat, the more sweat we get, right? And I'm sure many of you can relate. I know when I was a new therapist and I struggled with social anxiety, new clients would come in and I would just be covered with sweat. They must have really been concerned about me. But after doing it for a while, I no longer did. And the reason why is that I kept challenging myself and I kept challenging myself until I became much more comfortable in that situation. So I really like Reed Wilson's technique when it comes to sweating. And what Reed Wilson explains, this paradoxical kind of relationship we have with anxiety. When we try to not do something, we are giving the message to our brain that this is a horrible thing. This creates so much fear and discomfort. And so our brain gets even more upset and more anxious and more fearful. And so if we are saying, I don't want to sweat, or I don't want to be socially anxious, I don't want to sweat, our brain is going to be more anxious and therefore sweating more. And so what he likes to say is, hey, bring on the sweat. Make me more anxious, anxiety. Make me sweat even more. Bring it on. Cover me with sweat. And the brain doesn't know what to do with that. And so it's a paradoxical treatment. And what the body does is the brain kind of calms down, the amygdala calms down, and we don't sweat as much. So you can experiment with some of these, but exposure therapy in general is going to really help you with sweating or face flushing or anything like that. So let's move on to the next question. The next question is from Dr. Joel. I feel like I have faced social anxiety since I was young. Earlier, my relatives used to always point it out as shyness or something that you'll get over eventually. But now that I'm a junior doctor, I've accepted that I do indeed have it, and I'm actively searching for ways to handle it. The anxiety always kicks in when I'm meeting new people, and I feel my mind is either going at 100 miles an hour or it just stops and I feel like I don't know how to start a conversation or to continue an ongoing conversation. That's usually when the panic sets in and I rack my brain to think of something to keep a conversation going. I really like Dr. Joel's comment here about his experience because I think so many of us can relate to this. What's happening to him is that he is trying so hard to think of something to say that he is making himself more anxious. In fact, he's going into fight or flight. The sympathetic nervous system is taking over. And when that happens, it really kicks out the frontal cortex where we can actually think of questions. it just kind of makes the frontal cortex go offline. And so we have to calm ourselves down so we can think again of a question. So what I really wanted to share with Dr. Joel was a few different things, and I think a lot of people can be helped by this. We want to do some long exhales. Soften our face a little bit, soften the eyes, do some long exhales. And these kind of things will activate the parasympathetic nervous system and bring us out of fight or flight so that we can think a little bit more. And what Dr. Joel doesn't realize is that he is going to be meeting so many new patients constantly. He's going to be in exposure therapy around the clock, and he is going to get so much better at this. But for right now, just long exhales. And when you need to think of a comment, just say to yourself, what do I see? And bring up what you see. So if you're meeting a new person, I'm pretending like Dr. Joel is not going to be in a patient office, but he's meeting somebody socially, and they're wearing a cool t-shirt. Say something about the cool t-shirt. Hey, I really like your shirt. Where did you get it? But use that little hint about what do I see, and you will come up with something to say about something that you see. I hope that helped. And Dr. Joel, I wish you all the luck as you start your medical career. And the last question is from Kate. Hi, Paige. I love this video. Thank you so much for this helpful information. I have a question, though. How do I stop myself from going into my head? I get very anxious just from thinking about anxiety, and I had a few panic attacks a few months ago, and I feel like my mind hasn't been the same since I'm traumatized and live in fear. This has developed into social anxiety now. What can I do to help with this? Many thanks. So most of us with social anxiety go into our head, right? We're thinking about, oh my gosh, we look so awkward. They're going to think we're, socially awkward or have social anxiety, or they're not going to like us, or, whatever it is that we're thinking of in our head. So Kate, what we need to do is very mindfully and intentionally shift our focus. We shift our focus to the other person. What is that person thinking? Where are they from? What's their story? Shift to curiosity about the other person. Really shift that attention very mindfully and intentionally to the other person. And we can get better at shifting our attention if we practice mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation. I just discovered a new app called Waking Up with Sam Harris. I'm not doing any endorsements for anybody, but he really talks about how to intentionally shift your focus. And any kind of meditation is going to help with this. I have a video on breath-focused meditation, but meditation teaches us how to mindfully shift our attention. The more that you practice this, the better that you're going to get. And Kate, you're not alone. Just like I told Dr. Joel a few moments ago, you want to kind of calm down, get out of fight or flight, do some long exhales, calm down, and then you're going to be able to kind of shift your attention a little bit easier. So I hope that these questions helped you, and I love to hear more, what you'd like to hear more about. So until next time, I will see you in session. Take care. Bye-bye.